as expected, you still complain. But however, I know that the federal government is trying to change the narrative lately and focusing on the lower tiers of government, which is okay. But you know, the governors, they have a responsibility of alleviating the sufferings of the people. However, we must also know that majority of these states, you know, the larger percentage of whatever they get, they go into remuneration of civil servants.
Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. They were paying for paying civil servants previously.
Yeah,
in terms of the previous fund. So it's not like this income. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. The income of civil servants did not increase at that time. Funding increased. Where did that increment, that difference, where did it go to?
That's what I'm trying to let you know. That
right.
One of the things, you know, when the federal government increased this money, they also came up with this salary award.
They paid that briefly.
Yes. No, some states are still on with it.
Okay, go on.
You know, some states are still on with it. So, and some of the projects listed even in the budgets, because one of the things, if you want to really investigate what states have been doing, you have to look at the budgets. What have they been spending on that were not really budgeted for? That's when you can now say, okay, this issue. But in my own opinion, I think states too, they must, you know, step up their game, you know, for ways to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians in their domain. That one is very, very important. Nobody is shying away from that. But the main cruise of contention that has led us to where we are and where people are on the streets, they are policies implemented by federal government.
Despite
that we should not shy away from.
Despite more funding to states to actually alleviate the suffering of Nigerians, we should still keep blaming the federal government.
No.
Not hold the governors to account.
We can hold the governors to account.
Okay.
Nobody is disputing that. If there are specific things you are expecting from your state governors or from your leaders that have not been done, yes, but you must also remember that the state government is not in charge of border opening or closure. The state government is not in charge of the prices of crude oil. The state government is not in charge of the PMS. It's not in charge of subsidy removal. Subsidy is gone. Those are the things that are bearing directly on the life and the cost of living of the people. However, like I said earlier, it does not prevent the states from stopgap measures to alleviate the sufferings of the people.
All right. I need to turn to you, Adeshoko, on this. Real quick, in terms of these allocations, that's where we get into. You have, the headline is saying, citizens wallow in misery.
Of course.
Key word there.
The headline is actually deliberate and is a key one there. With all sense of humility, we have less patriot as governors these days. The same offices these people occupying now were occupied by Obola Ige, Adekunle Ajasin, Lateef Jakande. I attended Jakande School in Lagos. And so what are they now doing? I think my Egbon, he needs an appointment from the Nigerian Governors Forum. He's trying to safeguard them. The governors, with all sense of humility, they've not been living up to expectations. That's the truth. Yes, Egbon actually raised salient points. Subsidy removal, the same subsidy removal we are talking about. Increase the allocations to the state government you are alluding to. Because now local government from Shaki West local government collects over 400 million every month. And this, to God who made me, I was never in the know that my local government earns so much. I was thinking 250 million, 200 million, because it's been a while we left government, 2019. So I was thinking within that maybe 250, until I got to know that now earning 480 million for that Shaki West local government. Yes, okay. Can Google it out. Ibadan West local, Ibadan North local government is there. Ibadan North, all of them, they are now earning. Let alone all those places.
So what are they doing with this fund?
That is my challenge. Now these governors, I'm being emphatic, these governors, they are sitting fat. This is not partisanship nomenclature analysis. These governors, including APC or PDP, these governors, they are sitting fat on allocation meant for local government because of the lacuna in the constitution, joint allocation committee account, the JAC. But now, we are happy we are having a fine gentleman from our Ibadan here as Attorney General of the Federation. I was prepared to be with him 10 days ago at his office, Lateef Agbenesi. He went to court. And in the Nigerian Constitution, it was spelled out that whatever interpretation that comes from the Supreme Court is binding. Because had it been Mr. President or the presidency or Attorney General actually lobbied the National Assembly for amendment of the Constitution, these governors will actually throw it away. He now went to the Supreme Court.
Just a minute. We know this story. Yes. We know this story.
We need to sit out. These governors, they have to answer to us. What is the wage bill of Oyo State, Lagos State, Ondo State? We want to know.
Hold on a minute. Of course, there is also those who are in the legislative arm of government, that's at the national level, yes, who are also getting money for constituency projects.
Yes.
500 million is being peddled around as some of the monies they do receive.
Some get more.
One will also ask, where is this money going to? People are becoming poorer and poorer. 133 million Nigerians are considered to be poor. About 63% of Nigerians are said to be multi-dimensionally poor. That means poverty on all sides,
yes,
as it were. I need to turn to you, Popola, on this. In terms of transparency in the funding, have our governors, have they been transparent in the allocations they've been receiving and the utilization of these funds? Also, don't forget, it's contained in this particular report by The Guardian, by the way, going back into the funding and all the palliatives for COVID-19, how it was ordered, how some of these things were distributed to party members. That's also something. Not everybody in generality, but party members exclusively to start with. Maybe the rest now got to the people. In terms of transparency, accountability, how would you rate these various governors, especially in the Southwest? Let's start from home.
Well, it's a very short answer that I'm going to give to you. Transparency is a yes or no answer. No, they've not been transparent in their dealings with people. And some of the things, the programs they come out with, you cannot even see it on the streets. Some of them, they don't even have programs. They don't have projects. They don't have anything they are doing. They just sit in their offices and they spend this money. Some of them, use it for their own personal programs too. So when it comes to this governor doing project that touches the life of people, it is capital no. Most of them, let me even say almost 70 or 80% of them, only a few of them that you can go about, that you see programs they do or projects they do that touches the life of people. That's just the answer for that.
So there is no transparency?
No transparency.
And the projects are not having impacts?
How do you measure the impact of a project an administration does, and people cannot really have the feeling or the effect of it in their life? It doesn't transform to anything. Of course, it may not be a naira kobo value, but at least they should be able to see that this project has improved their life. It gives them access to where they could not even access before. Look at many things that these people ought to have been able to do that could have touched the life of people, but it's nowhere to be found. That is just the truth.
I need to turn back to Jasakwe on this particular one. 12% of the world's population in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. 12% of the world population living in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. One may ask, what's the way forward at this point in time? Because you're saying the buck stops at the table of the federal government. So what should the federal government do at this time? One of the things that will be said is the land is is owned, or in the governors are in charge of the land, for instance.
Yes.
So they should probably be able to help with our drive when it comes to agriculture, because we're talking about food inflation and the likes. I mean, that has nothing to do with importation, for instance. But then what would you suggest as a way out of the situation?
Thank you, Lulu. One of the things we must be sincere with ourselves. And we must say the truth at all times, not minding whose cause is God. One of the things we must come to terms with, and it is good that Fatah is in the studio today. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, in this same studio,
yes,
when we were raising alarm that the spate of killings in the farms, it will have grave consequences. They were the one defending Buhari and saying that we should give him time.
Nobody defended Buhari on that.
Because the truth is, over the years, we are paying for laxity and ineptitude of government over the years. We are paying for it now.
Federal government or government at all levels.
Wait. When killings, because if you have to look at our food chain and the farm products, largely, many of these things come from different states. different states have what they contribute to our food baskets. Look at yam, for instance. Somebody was complaining so recently that a tuber of yam was 2,500. What you could buy like 10 tubers for same amount before. But those producing yam in the middle belt, they have been chased away from the farm. Look at our arable crops. In southwest, we are good with arable crops and cash crops like cocoa and the likes. But our farmers have been chased away from the farm. Because ordinarily, you see that even tomatoes, when you wash pepper and you just pour the water behind at your backyard, it will grow. But open grazing has disturbed it so badly.
So security, should there be an improvement in security? We need to move.
What we expected from government when this present administration pronounced food security and state of emergency on food security, we expected them to follow it suit with action. Because if our farmers are not protected, forget it. There is nothing any other person can do. It's only the federal government that controls the security apparatus 100%.
So you're saying, for instance, that
the area of food, federal government still has federal government has no business planting.
Right.
You understand? But if the farmers are not secure, virtually all the farmers, they have gone to the city to look for another means of existence.
In the organization of our country, students of law, students of the University of Ibadan, and other schools will tell you, in Nigerian constitutional law, they will tell you functions of federal government, state government, and local government. We are talking about security, yes, just like we have our own architecture.
To the governor. And it's quite interesting to note that Ogun will be conducting its local government election on the 16th of November. Won't they have another set of local government chairmen who will be prostrating to the governor, who will not be able to ask him questions and raise concerns if he should dip his hands into their purse?
If he should, or as if he will not stop.
According to the allegation by
Wale Adedayo.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, it's so funny and not economically encouraging when we see where we found ourselves. That these governors are actually stampeding the local governments. Look at what is happening in Oyo states. It's a result of Yoruba drama that says "Ma oko wa na, takpa lo no gono, egono lo ni takpa, ma oko wa na." Literally means continue spending our money, using our money the way you like. You are the owner of us. We are the owner of you. You understand? It's just like when somebody has actually been psychologically enslaved. When you cannot, that's truth. I think law school actually opened my eyes on so many things. Right is in the constitution. I'm here with Evidence Act and legal practice, legal ethics. So you should know your rights. And knowing your rights, local government is not an appendage of state government. It's not. It's well spelled out in the constitution. The only lacuna was just the joint allocation committee, and this was the creation of the military. Reason I was actually pointing at the fact of the legal approach of the Attorney General of the Federation, that he actually, let me say, legal ambush at the Supreme Court.
Real quick, if we continue with business as usual, as for instance, the local government chairman in Oyo State have decided to align themselves with the governor in terms of his stance on local government autonomy, would we have anything different in terms of development, grassroots development that we are calling for?
We can't. You see, without sense of responsibility.
45 seconds.
I'm highly disappointed in the position of the local government chairman. I have so many friends among them, from Akinyele to Oluyole, so they don't know. We know ourselves over the years.
Have you spoken to them?
I chose not to. I chose not to speak with any one of them, from Oluyole to Akinyele, but
they may not know your position on things.
You see, when they know better, we are all adults, and somebody that is over 40 years of age knows what he's doing. I can understand their dilemma, but as for me, I will just keep silence. I will not be part of such charade, because history will be good. I mean, we will be setting up. One day, Sunday, we'll pray that case back to them. That when you were once local government chairman, you told us more takpa lo no gono, takpa more
I didn't hear the song. Maybe they sang it for you. But I need to turn to you on this one.
Yeah.
The reps, they failed to effect the 50% pay cut. They had said that the pay cut will come into effect from the month of, it was in July 18 that they made that resolution, and it was to come into effect almost immediately. 50% pay cut. That was one of the things they had said. They, one of their proposals when they knew the protest was imminent, was going to occur. But that money has not, the 50% part.
It cannot be easily done that way, because they have to go back to the RMAF that is in charge
Yes, Ramfac.
of all this salary and wages, and even another commission that's in charge of salary and wages. So that has to go back to them, and there is an aspect of the law which has to also be tinkered with for that to be effective, for that to be effected as well. So if that is not done, because now legally speaking, if I'm entitled to a certain amount of money, are you getting me? I now said I don't want to collect this money. Now, is there any documentation? Is there anything that can back it up with what I've said, that this money should not be given to me? It cannot be something that comes out from the mouth, just verbal instruction. No, we don't want a government on verbal instruction. There must be law to back whatever they are saying. So they themselves from the National Assembly, they must have to pass it as a law, or even reach out to the presidency as a gazette. Are you getting me? Go back to the commissions that are in charge so that this thing can be regularized.
All right. We need to take more reactions. There's so much in the papers. Hello?